Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days as things are quietening a little bit through the rest of today and tomorrow. Still showers around, still relatively cool, but nowhere near as unsettled as we did see yesterday with that big massive rain for many parts of England and Wales. However, as we have alluded to in the last few videos, as we do head towards Friday and the weekend, things are going to be livening up significantly ahead of a low pressure system approaching from the west. We're going to see hot and humid air drawn up by Friday, with temperatures widely through England and Wales up towards the high 20s or low 30s. Initially perhaps in a few spots on Friday, but more widely on Saturday. For around Saturday lunchtime into the early afternoon, we'll start to see thunderstorms forming in the west and moving through, and they could be very intense in places, so a very lively 48 hours there. And then we'll have a look at the longer range, so beyond that period, from the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the Ensembles, as it does look likely to remain fairly unsettled, but with cooler air masses returning from the west. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if you start on the live radar, you can see this big spiral out to our east. This is that storm system that did move through southern areas through yesterday. Now luckily with that is it didn't really properly form into its low pressure system until it was out into the North Sea, so we didn't see the strong gusty winds with that. We did see the very heavy rain, but not the most severe impacts. Those were across parts of northern Europe. Heading into parts of Scandinavia and Denmark at the moment, we saw wind gusts of around 90 miles per hour towards coastal areas of the Netherlands. So very, very strong winds, especially for July as well. Again, disruption in those regions. Luckily, not impacting us too much. There was a yellow rain and wind warning issued for parts of East Anglia, but once again we saw wind gusts maybe 40 or 50 miles per hour, so strong but not the most severe impacts. Many regions here did see rainfall in excess of an inch, so 25 millimetres plus, and some regions saw a lot higher than that, almost the whole of an average July rainfall in the space of 6 to 12 hours. So we did see some intense rainfall, but luckily the ground's not too saturated at the moment, so it didn't cause too many flooding issues, so it wasn't too bad, but definitely would have helped ground conditions and reservoirs where it has been pretty dry through June, or widely dry. Again, locally we saw thunderstorms, but didn't see many widespread rain systems move in. But into today, things are a little bit less lively. A few heavy thundery showers exiting the southeast now through the afternoon, and showers continuing to move in from the north and the west, but again none of these are too severe here. So things are a little bit less intense today, and the temperatures as of around 4 p.m. are cool still. The wind direction is still coming in from the west, therefore temperatures not climbing much above the mid to high teens, maybe just about peaking at 20 degrees. We'll be able to have a look at the past 24-hour rainfall. Now, unfortunately, we won't be able to have a look at all of the rainfall that has fallen, because some of this rain fell before sort of 3 or 4 p.m. yesterday. But you can see that the regions that saw the heaviest rain spreading from southwest England up through the London region, up towards East Anglia, where we did see that yellow warning, and you can see more heavy rain, especially into the Netherlands, and again very strong gusty winds, again most likely in this region here. So yeah, big storm system did cause a lot of issues, and it did get a lot more intense than we thought a few days ago. But it was on the cards, and in the end, luckily, the most severe impacts stayed away from our shores, and most regions only saw sort of a washout day with heavy rain. Now, if we do move over to the UKV now, we'll be able to have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. Now, you can see just showers moving through at the moment, but they should die out in many regions through this evening, and it should be a lot drier, especially further eastwards and southwards. As we head in tomorrow afternoon, we see another massive rain heading from the west, but this is going to get stalled a bit. This is the low pressure system that's going to give the thunderstorms through Saturday, but it's going to stall and just keep its weather fronts out to our west over Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and western Scotland before sort of disintegrating away and moving back out into the North Atlantic. Areas further south and east will remain dry through Friday, and it will be hot as well, with showers and maybe some storms breaking out further westwards. As we move into Saturday, this weather front will be more progressive. So the next system will be more progressive, and it will move in from the Atlantic, and look at that midday on Saturday, a band of intense thunderstorms breaking out. To the north and east of this, temperatures in excess of 30 degrees, but this system moves through before eventually degrading away into the evening as fresher air moves in. And that will start Sunday off with much fresher conditions. Still could be warm in the south and east, some lingering warmth, maybe mid-20s, but most regions much cooler through Sunday into Monday. You can see this from the upper air temperatures. As we head into Friday, the upper air temperatures peaking around the 15 to 17 degree mark at 850 HPA, lasting into Saturday afternoon before getting swept away through the evening down towards the mid-single digits. If we have a look at the Cape levels, you can see really peaking through Saturday afternoon, showing the possibility of some intense thunderstorms along that band from around midday to 6 p.m. before it does clear out into the North Sea. And if you look at the max temperatures, you'll be able to see huge up and downs over the next 5 days, starting around the mid to high teens today, maybe touching 20 or 21. By Thursday, temperatures perhaps reaching as high as 22 or 23, but still widely mid to high teens or touching 20 degrees. But look at Friday, by 9 a.m. it's already 22 degrees or 23 in many regions, and by the middle of the afternoon, by 3 p.m, many areas touching the mid to high 20s, slightly cooler than we saw from the UKV yesterday, where it did show a 29 or 30, but nevertheless still high 20s. And then finally into Saturday, temperatures peaking around that 29 or 30, 29 to 31 degree mark. Again, this will be all dependent on how quickly the thunderstorms move in. If they do move in earlier in the day, those temperatures will be restricted a lot more. We may struggle to reach 30 degrees, but if they're delayed more to sort of 3, 4 p.m, then highly likely we reach a large region of high 20s or low 30s. So very hot there through Saturday afternoon before getting swept away, and into Sunday could still reach 24, 20, maybe 26, but it is cooling down. And by Monday, most likely, we'll be back into the low 20s and high teens. Again, we can't have a look at the thunderstorms in too much detail, still sort of 3 or 4 days away, so still just out of range of the shorter range, or of many of the high-resolution shorter range runs, but by tomorrow, we'll be able to have a much better look, and of course Friday as well, and maybe even tomorrow we could see weather warnings introduced for this. At the earliest, maybe Friday, more likely, but we will have to see that in the next few days. Just have a look at those warnings do get issued, and to see what the intensity of other short range runs. Now, if you go over to the longer range runs now and have a look at the pressure charts, again you can see the westerly flow at the moment, that storm system out towards Denmark at the moment, but low pressure sitting out to the Atlantic over the next couple of days and just moving in those southerly winds, a very hot air mass moving in. You'll be able to see on the Ensemble charts in a minute how exceptionally short and sharp this spike in heat we're going to see for a couple of days through Friday to Sunday. Ahead of this low pressure system, before the low pressure does move through Sunday into Monday and giving us fresher conditions from the Atlantic. And that continues all the way to day 10 here and beyond. GFS likes to continue low pressure running in from the Atlantic, and probably would give many systems like we saw yesterday, with more heavy rain moving in, and yeah, not looking particularly great if you've got any plans for the middle of July. Again, things can change quite drastically, but GFS not showing any major improvements. Now, you can see the spike of heat later this week. Look at that 15 degree isotherm moving in, very hot conditions, and you can see the temperature contrast here. Cold out in the Atlantic, very hot to the east of the low, and this is just powering the intensity of the low pressure system, and of course on the boundary we'll be producing the big thunderstorms. And you can see this through Saturday evening. We've got an enhanced level of Cape here, again most likely peaking around the midday, which we're not looking at here, we'll look at 6 p.m, but if we put that into midday, most likely peaking Cape through that Midlands to central southern England region, and again most likely region for those intense thunderstorms. If you look at the GEM run, again that low pressure moving out towards Denmark, Low pressure approaching from the west, drawing up that very hot air through Saturday, or Friday into Saturday, before eventually going more westerly and all the way to day 10, keeping that very similar pattern, but low pressure more sat over the top of us, so that hotter air goes further to our east and probably actually just fuels showers, thunderstorms, and longer spells of rain. So it could be going more hotter and humid here from the GM at day 10, but with the hot air more sat to our south, low pressure closer by, it would be overall a lot more unsettled. If you finish by having a look at the ECMWF to see what that is showing over the course of the next few days, again low pressure running away, and then low pressure coming in off the Atlantic through the weekend before with that hot air drawn in before it. And as we head towards day 10, continue for a westerly flow, low pressure nearby, but a bit more of a high pressure influence from our south and our east, the Azores high perhaps nudging in. But the overall pattern here is fit to remain pretty cool and probably fairly unsettled, especially further northwards. Uncertain how far southwards it would get because of the positioning of the high pressure, low pressure. If we finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see the big heat spike later this week, up towards 15 or 16 degrees at 850 HPA, good 5 to 10 degrees above average, before we plunge back down towards average, if not slightly below average, beyond that for the middle third of July, with quite high precipitation as well. So yes, it's going to be making a big change in the next couple of days, but it's only a brief change, with things turning back cooler and unsettled from around the 10th to the 20th of July here. Again, some warmer runs, some cooler runs, but most are around average to slightly below average with quite a bit of precipitation. The 2 meter temperatures are all over the place, 20 degrees today, maybe 22 tomorrow, then up towards the high 20s or even 30 degrees through Friday and Saturday, before back down to the mid to low 20s or high teens in other regions through the middle third of July. Dew points will be making a big rise this weekend as well. You can see that big rise here, again indicating hot, humid air, and could feel quite oppressive, especially through Saturday. And if we do finally compare to the ECMWF ensembles, again, you can see the big spike in upper air temperatures this weekend before dropping more towards average, if not below average, and quite a lot of precipitation moving in, especially through Saturday and into Sunday as well, indicating lots of heavy showers and storms is possible through Saturday, but even here, perhaps appearing on Sunday as well. Need to keep a close eye on that within these shorter runs in the next few days. But yes, a bit of a change, could be some decent conditions for many on Friday, and at least earlier in the day on Saturday, before things will go thundery, before we go back to what we've had the last few days, which is unsettled and cool conditions through the middle third of July. So it does look like the July so far and for the foreseeable future isn't going to be a particularly summery month. We're going to see some brief heat, some brief periods of thunderstorms through this weekend, but it's going to be pretty westerly based and pretty cool, at least through the first 5 days as we've seen, and most likely from the 10th to the 20th as well. Now, so things can change, but that is the current guidance. And it's looking likely June is going to be a lot more of a summery month than July has been. And we'll just have to see, as said, what happens with that. But for the time being, make sure you stay up to date with warnings and with the videos, because it could get interesting this weekend. There could be some quite severe impacts from not only the heat, but from the storm. So I'll keep you updated over the next few days. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.